But no, it's me, Eamon Holmes today. Michael Portillo will be off chasing some train around Serbia or something that he does very, very well, he has to say. Now, so I'm here between 11 and 1 o'clock. I hope you stay with me. I hope you enjoy the show. Keir Starmer will meet with European leaders today to discuss the war in Ukraine. Right, you'll know about that. That's on the news everywhere. This is the coalition of the willing. And I'm listening to newsreaders today, and I thought they were all saying the coalition of the women. So I didn't really know what that was referring to, but it's of the willing, apparently. And this is ahead of Ukrainian President Zelensky travelling to Washington. He does that tomorrow. He meets with Donald Trump, and we're going to be talking about the latest developments with my panel, which I have here in the studio, and it's all about a big land grab for Putin. That's about points grab in the Premier League. That's the Manchester United boss. They're set to face Arsenal today, and I'll be joined by United double trophy winner Clayton Blackmore as we look ahead to the season. A-level results day on Thursday. More students than ever head into university. Is the education system fit for purpose? Are we educating children for the world? And what trends are emerging at universities around the country? Two experts will discuss that here in the studio. And it's the Southport Flower Show today. Very poignant, very beautiful. The families of B.B. King, Alice Aguiar and Elsie Stankham are attending to promote the work of their charities a year on from those terrible stabbings in Southport. Our reporter Steve Bennett is on the ground. And this is actually England's largest independent.
50,000 people visited the Southport Flower Show last year, and they're expecting to beat that total this year, and there's still time for you to come down and enjoy these fantastic show gardens.
Thank you, my friend. But first, let's bring you up to date with what's happening news-wise. And we say hello, good morning, and welcome to Bethany LC.
Eamon, thank you. Good morning. I'm Bethany Elsey with the top stories from the GB newsroom. So Keir Starmer will hold a video call with Ukraine's European allies later, ahead of Volodymyr Zelensky's meeting with Donald Trump in Washington tomorrow. The US president said the face-to-face talks in the Oval Office could pave the way for a three-way meeting alongside Russia's president. The Prime Minister, French President and German Chancellor will host the Coalition of the Willing meeting this afternoon. Meanwhile, Russia's president has made demands to take control of key regions of Ukraine as a condition for ending the war. Several news outlets are reporting that Vladimir Putin told Donald Trump during their talks in Alaska on Friday that he wants to keep the occupied Donetsk and Luhansk regions. In exchange, the Russian leader said he would freeze the front line in the southern regions and vowed to not launch any new attacks to take more territory. Mr. Trump is said to support this plan. It's also reported that Mr. Putin reiterated his core demands that would undermine Ukraine's statehood and roll back the expansion of NATO. In other news, the Home Secretary has defended her decision to prescribe Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation. More than 700 people have been arrested since the group was banned last month. A further 13 arrested yesterday, and dozens more are facing prosecution. Writing in The Observer, Yvette Cooper said free speech remained an important part of the UK's democracy and will always be protected. But she argued the group has carried out an escalating campaign with disturbing information about future attacks. The emergency services have recovered the body of a child from the River Swale in North Yorkshire. An extensive search operation was carried out last night after a 12-year-old boy went missing in the water in Richmond. His family are being supported by specialist officers. And artificial intelligence is being piloted by the NHS to free up hospital beds by discharging patients quicker. The technology could potentially save hours of delays. The Health Secretary says the move will allow doctors to spend less time on paperwork and more time focused on care. It's just one of a number of projects backed by the Prime Minister, who says AI will be used to turn around the economy and public services, including the criminal justice system and schools. You're up to date. I'll have more for you in half an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
for one day only. It's Sunday, not with Michael, but with me, Eamon Holmes. Thank you very much indeed for your company. The Prime Minister will co-chair a coalition of the Willing Conference with European leaders later today to discuss Ukraine. This comes as Volodymyr Zelensky is visiting Washington. He does that tomorrow to discuss the peace deal proposal devised by Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin at the Alaska summit. And just some breaking news in the last few minutes that European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen will also meet Trump in the White House tomorrow alongside Ukrainian President. Joining me now in the studio to discuss that and lots more that we've got in store on the news front. We say hello, good morning, welcome Scarlett Maguire, Jennifer Powers here as well, and Aman Bogle. Very nice to see all three of you, Aman.
Indeed.
Right, that's interesting. Ursula von der Leyen tomorrow. What do you make of her turning up, making sure Europe's going to have a big say in all of this?
Hey, but don't you think this is the coalition of the weak and the wanting? The fact that it's taken American leadership under President Trump to explore the idea of peace and bring this terrible war to an end, whereas the continent of Europe, the European Union, von der Leyen, Starmer even, Macron, they wasted, 3 years prolonging this war and not coming to the table to bring it to an end. I think President Trump is right in what he is proposing. This is exactly what Ukraine right now needs after the ravaging of the last 3 years.
Scarlett.
I absolutely disagree. I mean, two things. One is what we've got is what Putin wants, right? I mean, Trump has got nothing out of this at all. Putin always was willing to talk peace as long as he got Ukraine. That's what he wants. It's also not going to stop there. I mean, he's made it clear, as Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, has made it clear they see it as a civil war. They don't see Ukraine as a different thing. I think it's very important that Ursula von der Leyen is there. That's one of the things that they've managed to get, because we don't want Zelensky in the White House once again being pilloried by Vance and Trump. Right, we want a serious conversation, because Zelensky's going to say, I can't take this. I mean, that it's not the end. And Putin knows it. Putin doesn't want an end. He wants Ukraine.
Well, he wants the Donbass, that's for sure.
Can he get the Donbass?
I think he's resigned to not getting all of Ukraine. But look, I'm going to, apologies, I'm going to take a sort of midway position on this between you two. I actually think it's worth considering what would happen if it was the opposite were true. So if Biden was still in power, or Kamala Harris was in the White House, and they had managed to organize a summit with Putin where peace with Ukraine was on the agenda, they would have been widely praised for it. They would have said, oh, yes, it's difficult. Who knows what's going to come of it? But it's so good of them to try, because we want an end of war. We want an end of bloodshed. And really, what has Trump done until this point? Well, yes, he's met with Putin on American soil in Alaska. There was a show of strength by America with the fly past of the B-52 stealth bomber. And there was conversation. And personally, I think that's great. I think when we have so many big global issues facing not only Ukraine and Russia themselves, but us here in Britain, that it's only right that two of the world's superpowers meet and discuss and have a relationship. Of course, like you, I abhor Putin, but I think it's right they spoke.
At the most vomit-inducing summit in diplomatic history, says Boris Johnson.
Yeah, and I disagree with my old boss on this one. I have applauded his leadership on Ukraine to date, and I am full square behind Britain continuing to provide leadership with Ukraine. But I think it's right that Trump met with Putin, and I think, he genuinely, whatever you think of Trump, he genuinely has a dislike of war, which goes back to friends of his that he lost to the Vietnam War when he was young. And he genuinely wants to find a solution. Now, I share Scarlett's concern that Ukraine is going to be bullied into giving up some of their territory that they don't, that Russia currently doesn't hold. I do worry about that. But having said that, that hasn't happened yet, and let's see where these discussions go.
But that's a real indictment of where Europe, NATO, and until President Trump came in, largely the West is when it comes to matters of defence. Yeah. We haven't spent enough on defence. When we can fit in the entire British Armed Forces within Wembley Stadium, that is on active duty, that's not good enough. I mean, I was in Estonia a few years ago looking at some of our British troops that are based out there. It's a tripwire. So if Russia decided to come into Estonia and the Baltics, it would take up to 2 weeks for NATO to mobilise enough force to go and tackle that. And that's what we're facing. We simply have been asleep at the wheel in the West for far too long.
But I don't think Russia is in a stronger position as Vladimir Putin would like to portray it or paint it. And maybe Europe is in a stronger position, and Europe and America. But I look at this and I see, what does Trump see? We talk about Trump and the deal. Mm-hmm. And it is a deal, and it's a business deal. And he's looking at a deal between Russia and the USA eventually, excluding Europe. He doesn't want Europe there, bothering him, being involved in all of this.
Well, I think you're onto something, Eamon, because this really comes back to a resetting of global geopolitics into spheres of influence. And so we're going kind of 100, 150 years back in time, pre-World War II, and it's very much about... The tariffs play into that. Yeah. How do you create self-sufficiency? The return of the nation-state within a sphere of influence. So to make that work, you have to have supply of critical resources, you have to be self-sufficient, and you have to have territory around you that will provide that first line of defense. And so Russia thinks Ukraine, and America thinks about the Western Hemisphere.
And America thinks about minerals, and they think about money. And that, as far as Trump is concerned, and we can see it in Gaza, is that he sees it. He talks about beachfront, oceanfront properties, right? I mean, you know, the Americans are doing no favour. NATO is buying stuff, is buying weapons from the Americans. They have said they're not going to spend any money on this war. I mean, I don't know how we can start criticising the Europeans who are actually keeping Ukraine going, because
but that's not true, though, is it? I mean, let's be honest.
Well, it's completely true.
It's not. It's not. The European Union has bought record amounts of Russian natural gas just last month. That's not keeping Ukraine going. That's funding the Russian war machine. And let's break it down a bit further. Last week, President Trump imposed a very one-sided further 25% tariff on India for buying Russian gas and oil. When the truth is, we in the UK, in Europe, in America, we are the biggest buyers of refined Indian petroleum made from Russian crude. How is that stopping the Russian war machine from going? It's hypocrisy on a biblical proportional level.
Right, so what you're saying is you would be willing to say, OK, let's be cold next winter, right? Because that's what you're saying.
Well, that's exactly what would have happened.
No, but people like you go on saying, this is terrible, this is what the Germans are doing, this is what we're doing. But they don't say, what you don't say is, OK, Germany, you're a democratic country, but you either support Ukraine and freeze...
How is it supporting Ukraine when you're funding the Russian war machine?
Because they need the gas to keep going.
Europe has had 3 years to wean itself off dependence on Russian gas. So I do agree, Europe could be doing more. And to your point about defence spending, again, spot on. We are in a situation where... you talk about Ursula von der Leyen being invited to the White House.
I think she invited herself.
Well, this is it. I think European leaders have to wait and almost throw themselves at the mercy of the US. Oh, please, can I come to the party too? Why is that? Because they have spent so little on defence since the end of the Cold War that we have to be invited to the party as observers.
No, but just a minute. Let's get this straight. One of the things is there was this thing called a peace dividend, is that we thought... After the fall of the Soviet Union, right, let's get something out of this. Let's get peace. We got the Ukrainians to give up their nuclear weapons. We do have to remember that.
Yes. And what was the other side of that deal? Do you remember that? The other side of that deal?
That we would protect them.
That we would protect them.
That was the deal. That was the deal.
That was the deal. But Ukraine would not actively seek to join NATO.
Well, and we fell down.
But it wasn't... But
why do you think that the Germans spend all that money on Nord Stream and all the second pipeline? It's because that's not what they were intending. They were hand in glove with the Russians. Look at Gerhard Schroeder.
Guys, could I ask you, what are the possibilities? What are the chances of peace? We sit and talk here, we talk about a ceasefire or a permanent peace deal. I think we're all in agreement that Putin holds the better set of cards in his hand here. He's making Trump. How is Trump going to react to this? He's not used to losing and not winning business deals and whatever. Are we any closer to having this whole business settled?
I would argue yes, Eben, for two very simple things. One, this is about President Trump and his mission to bring peace to so many parts of the world. Secondly, this is about the Indo-Pacific century. If you break this down, this is more about the Americans trying to wean Russia off the dragon bear relationship with Beijing more than anything else. This is about, I mean, if you look at the deal that President Trump last week did between the Armenians and the Azerbaijanis, he's even called it the Trump trade corridor, right? That is within the Indo-Pacific realm. If you look at what the bilateral agreement is coming up with India and the US, that is very much a whole idea of the Indo-Pacific. And also, don't forget, if the Europeans don't agree with any deal that President Trump is coming up with, well, they're welcome to come back and say no and carry on the war on their own terms and fund it. I don't think the Europeans are in any fit form to do that.
Just a minute, what about the Ukrainians? I mean, these are the people who matter. I mean, Trump has already complained that Zelensky said that he has to take any deal back to the country, and he said, but you didn't talk to the country when you declared war on Russia, which he didn't, right? The Russians invaded. So I think that it's going to be very difficult to get any sort of land swap. The thing about Putin, what he wants is the longer it goes on, ultimately, you know, there is a massive war machine. He is willing to have, I mean, 1 million Russians have been killed so far. He is willing to go on putting young men from all over in the mincing machine. Yeah. And he's quite happy. The longer it goes
machine
on, the
is
better.
a very good description. We look at Putin and Trump, and we know they look into each other's eyes and they couldn't possibly like each other. Although, Scarlett, you would argue that Trump admires strong people and he has a liking for Putin, whatever. I personally, I wouldn't do any of this Keir Starmer hugging business and holding and whatever. You watch them walk out on the runway there in Alaska, and there's the handshake and there's the pat on the shoulder and whatever it is. Maybe a handshake in a formal way, maybe. I'm not even saying. I think if I was Trump and Putin came out, I think I would acknowledge his presence with a nod. I wouldn't shake his hand. Well, would you shake his hand?
I'd shake his hand as a simple fact that...
But he's a murderer?
Well, I think we have to look at these things this way, Eamon, that Prime Minister and Presidents go and shake hands and hug a lot of leaders who are not the nicest of people.
Do you think Churchill would have shook Hitler's hand?
Well, I think comparing Hitler with Putin is probably not...
well, it's not far off, is it?
Well, I think the same could be said for Zelensky, sending in hundreds of thousands of his men into the meat grinder, as was mentioned earlier, but also the fire that was happening pre-2014.
Controversial.
Yes.
That'll get people talking when you come back in an hour's time.
Zelensky is trying to, I mean, the people who are defending their country. I mean, that's what we have to remember. Yeah. One is the aggressor and the other is defending their country.
I would shake hands as well, because I think that you have to put your personal feelings about a dictator aside.
You on the cheek?
I would probably not do touchy-feely. I would not do kisses and hugs. Yeah. But I would certainly shake hands because I think, I think if Trump having conversations and the summit and the follow-up meetings, if it actually leads to a ceasefire, and we all regret that any territory has to be given away, but if it leads to a ceasefire and less death, then I'd say it's absolutely worth shaking the hand.
Very interesting to hear from you three. Very sensible, very good conversation. We like that. Aman and Jennifer and Scarlett, they're going to be back just after 12 o'clock, and we'll be talking about other stories in the papers like Reform UK leader Nigel Farage and what he's talking about online and what's going to happen online. You're nodding away there. What do you think?
Well, I just think the Online Safety Act is a terrible piece of legislation. We need to age-gate the internet, but we can get on to that.
So
at the top of the hour.
Are you agreeing with Farage?
I agree that it's a dog's breakfast. It's a terrible piece of legislation, but I also agree we need to protect children.
Okay. Right, okay. Coming up next, talking football, Premier League back, of course, this weekend. Don't know how your team has done, but my team, Manchester United, play today. They face Arsenal today, and I'm going to be joined by the former midfielder for the Reds, Clayton Blackmore. Looking forward to that right after the short break.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Look at the football season back again. You've got the Premier League and you've got Man City, Sunderland and Spurs holding the top spots there. The big teams play today. Manchester United set to begin their Premier League campaign today against Arsenal. What a cracker game that'll be. Ruben Amorim for United says Benjamin Sesko, newly signed at 74 million, is ready to make his debut. Well, let's get a view on all of this one. Former Manchester United midfielder Clayton Blackmore. Clayton, good. Where were you today? Where's that scenery? Are you abroad?
No, it's Bramall Park Golf Club.
Oh, looking good there at Bramall Park. Clayton, what about this guy, Sesko? I'm quite excited by him. You see players, and boy, we've signed some dummies over the past few years or so. But anything I've seen, I didn't know too much about him, but you can tell the way he touches, the way he hits the ball, the way he scores. He looks quality.
Yeah, it looks like we've got somebody who could maybe match Hoyland at City. You know, I watched some of the footage of him, and obviously he can do actually everything. He's 6'5" as well. Yeah. And, you know, that's a handful. You know, somebody who can run, dribble with the ball, shoot with both feet. He's good in the air. I'm really excited, and it's a fantastic signing. We've made 3 great signings in the summer, so I'm looking forward to the start of the season.
Talk us through the 3 signings, because that's good that really you've said that, because I'm so used to, second-class people coming in.
Yeah, well, in Wemo, obviously, he's been playing for Brentford. Brentford, you'd think they've been doing better than they should be. They're not a big club, and he's a heart. He works hard. He's a goal scorer, and those are the kind of players you need. And he's proved himself already in the Premier League. Yeah. And this is a problem. In the last couple of years, I think Ten Hag's brought a lot of players in who've, never played in the Premier League, and it showed. Well, there's from the Arsenal point of view, going to be very, very interesting looking at them. Going to be hard to beat. Gyökeres and Amarin, the United boss. I'm reading in the paper today, they were a dream partnership at Lisbon. But they know each other inside out, and today they go head to head. The Mail are billing it as the teacher against the graduate. Yeah, last season we played Arsenal away, and they had 75% possession, and that's when the system he uses, 3 at the back, turns into 5 at the back, and we were very hard to break down, and we ended up winning the game. We hit them on the break. This year we've got 3 players who can really play on the break, and Cunha as well. He's a fantastic player. Old Trafford's a big. I don't think people realise a lot of the pitches are different sizes, and Old Trafford's a very big pitch. So when we play lesser teams and we're throwing fullbacks forward, then the back 3, it's wide open. There's a lot of big spaces there to defend. For me, I think Luke Shaw should be starting as well. He's one of the best left backs in England for me. I suppose it's fitness with Luke Shaw. There's a number of transfer tinkerings I want to talk about, but just a word on Arsenal. I would say I think the favourites for me for the title have got to be Liverpool. But if Arsenal don't win it, is that the end of Arteta there? I don't know. I think he just needs. He's been brought up with that where you don't need a centre forward. This year they've got a centre forward. It's coincidence, obviously. He's our manager, Amram's old centre forward, and it's very interesting. First game of the season, so they've actually got a real goal scorer in the team now. Yeah. So talking about real goal scorers, Clayton, Isak at Newcastle, real goal scorer. He is the business. Yeah. My goodness, what a mess there. So they faced Villa yesterday. No goals at all in that one, a 0-0 draw. Who holds the cards in this? He wants a transfer. I would say they've got to listen to him, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. Can you play with this guy against his will? Well, for me, when you walk over the line in football, you've got to you're playing for all the fans who are there, and you've got to do what you're good at. It's not fair then the fact you're getting paid so much money. It's even worse now. There's so much money involved that you're getting paid and you're not trying. We've seen a bit of it at United in the last few years. What do you think the reaction is within the Newcastle dressing room? Fellow pros, would they look and would they understand his point of view? I don't know. Newcastle are a rich club. I'm sure they could match the money he's looking for. It must be ambition he's trying to buy here. Yeah, that's just fresh air, really, that he's looking to go and win trophies. But, Newcastle are on the up as well. They've been doing great. A couple of signings here and there, and they could be the ones who win in the league this year. Yeah. What do you think will happen there? How will that sort itself? Well, it's down to him, really. If he wants to leave and he wants to, go to Liverpool or whatever, that'll happen. He won't play. He could say he's got a bad back or something. Look at Crystal Palace doing so well. They won the Community Shield there a couple of weeks ago. FA Cup winners as well. Young Eze, Palace through and through. But Spurs are on the phone there. Spurs want him. Yeah, he's a player. Yeah, he's one of them players. I think without him, you'll see a different Crystal Palace. I don't think it'll be nowhere near as strong. And it's all. These days there's not a lot of top strikers about. That's why I'm a bit excited. We've got like 3 up there now. Yeah. Where before, and we've got Højlund as well, it's been a bit unlucky for him, but we got rid of Ronaldo and brought him in, and he's only 18, 19. He's still learning the game.
Just final word, quick word on Dominic Calvert-Lewis. Leeds have gone in there with Everton and they've taken him. I hear strange things about this lad, about his fitness, about his commitment, about the fact that he wants to be a model more than a footballer or whatever. Do you think Leeds have done good business there? I mean, when he's on form, he's on form. He's fantastic ability.
Well, I think for a team coming into the Premiership, you know, they've been down the Championship. It's a sign they want to move forward, and you know, you need goal scorers. Bottom line is goals win you games. It doesn't matter how much possession you've got. If you can't create that into goals, you're not going to win. I'm a bit worried about Man City. I don't want to say it, but they look a bit lively already.
They'll not last. they'll peter out. Don't worry. I tell you, they're not going to take Liverpool. Liverpool, Arsenal. Maybe they might come in third, but that's as good as they're getting. Clayton, lovely talking to you, my friend. Hope you get a few goals or a few holes today at the golf club. Great day for it. Enjoy.
Thanks, Eamon.
Thanks. Good talking to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now it's time for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for a year, plus an extra £5,000 in your bank to play with. And if you don't pay a mortgage or you don't pay rent, we give you £15,000 in cash instead. Whatever way you get it, if you were to win it, it adds up to a nice deal. Here you go.
We want to send some of those monthly financial stresses packing this August with your chance to be mortgage or rent-free for 12 whole months. We'll give you a cash lump sum that equals 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to an amazing £20,000. We'll also throw in an extra £5,000 on top of that for good measure, because why not? And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you. We'll give you £15,000 tax-free cash instead. What are you waiting for? Lines will close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
We've got an interesting one coming up next. Kids opening envelopes for A-level results and GCSEs and goodness knows what, and if they're going to go to university or not. But is what we actually teach them fit for purpose? Does it prepare them for life? Think of when you were at school. I think of when I was at school, 7-8 years ago. When you think about it, are they being taught correctly? Do they get, what is the point of teaching them how to recite Shakespeare when they should have something about home economics? Right, let's think about that. We're going to be talking about that next.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Some eastern coasts will be quite cool and grey today, but for most of us it's going to be another sunny and warm day. Still quite breezy in the southwest though, and that's courtesy of the ice bars being a little bit closer together here. And as we go into tomorrow, we watch this weather front here. That might bring some showers and a few thunderstorms in places. But back to Sunday afternoon, and it's blue skies and sunny conditions for the vast majority of us. But along these North Sea coasts, it will be generally quite a bit cloudier, and with those grey skies, it will feel quite a bit cooler as well. So temperatures here perhaps pegged back to the high teens or low 20s. Further west, though, temperatures once again into the mid-20s, so feeling very warm indeed in that strong sunshine. But certainly quite a cool evening to come across some northern parts of Scotland due to that low cloud. It might even be bringing some misty conditions in places too, so just 13 to 15 degrees Celsius on the coasts. Further west, though, many mainland and western parts of Scotland seeing a warm evening to come. Some high-level cloud in the sky across parts of Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest. So the sunshine somewhat hazier here, but generally a warm and sunny evening to come for many parts of the UK. As we go into this evening and overnight then, that cloud across the North Sea will slowly drift its way further westwards, so turning fairly cloudy with potentially a few spots of drizzle in places as well as we go into the early hours. And the cloud generally acting like a blanket, so temperatures staying a little bit higher than last night for most of us. Lows of 14 or 15 Celsius in most towns and cities. A little bit chillier where the skies stay clear. Now, Monday does promise to be a somewhat cloudier day compared to over the weekend for many of us. That cloud quite stubborn to clear, particularly across northeastern parts of England. Here, the odd spot or two of drizzle perhaps in places too. We're watching a few heavy showers developing across the southwest through the afternoon, perhaps the odd thunderstorm. But in the best of the sunshine, particularly in western Scotland, highs reaching 25 or 26 degrees Celsius.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Wake up with a familiar face. She's back on breakfast television. Penny Smith returns.
Miss me? Well, I'm here and I brought the coffee.
And we're reuniting to brighten your morning.
It's just like old times, only better.
So join Penny and me Monday and Tuesday only on GB News Breakfast. Wake up with a familiar face. She's back on breakfast television. Penny Smith returns.
Miss me? Well, I'm here and I brought the coffee.
And we're reuniting to brighten your morning.
It's just like old times, only better.
So join Penny and me Monday and Tuesday only on GB News Breakfast. Yes, I forgot to tell you that as well, that Penny Smith, reuniting with her tomorrow after what I've known her for years, going back 30-odd years with GMTV and in those days. So we're reuniting. She's doing a couple of days on the breakfast show here on GB News tomorrow, and she's very good fun. We get on very well, and I hope you can tune in and join us for that as well. Meanwhile, this is Sunday with Michael Portillo, except it's not Michael Portillo, it's me, Eamon Holmes, today. Now, a record number of students have been accepted into university after A-level results day on Thursday, but does what they're taught, and indeed the whole system, prepare these children for the real world? Does a university education hold any value anymore? Joining me in the studio is Joe Seddon. Joe's from a really interesting organisation called Zero Gravity. And, well, you tell people what Zero Gravity tries to do.
So Zero Gravity is a tech platform that powers students from working class backgrounds into top universities and careers. I'm really passionate about this because I grew up in a small town called Morley in West Yorkshire. I'm from a single parent family. My mum works as a speech therapist in the NHS. And I just saw firsthand how difficult it is for students like me to make it through the state education system and break into these top opportunities. I was one of the lucky ones. I managed to somehow get a place at Oxford University. But when I was there, it wasn't amazing. It was a life-transforming opportunity for me. But when I got there, I was shocked that so many of the students at Oxford, they were very polished, they were hard-working, they were intelligent, but they were no more fundamentally talented than a lot of the kids I grew up with. And when I graduated, I wanted to change that.
Is that a birth thing? Is that a birthright? The families they were born into, the schools they went to, what made the difference?
Well, when I speak to a lot of kids from low-income backgrounds, they talk about there's almost like this gravitational force holding them down. If you grow up in a working-class family, it's more likely you go to a poor state school, you're in an area of very little opportunity, more likely to have family breakdown. All of these things compound and reinforce to create that difference.
I get that. Now, let me ask you, was your secondary school, was it a grammar school or secondary school? How would you describe it?
So I was one of the lucky ones. My mum sort of essentially tutored me herself to get into my local state grammar school. But even grammar schools, the vast majority of students going there tend to be from more middle-class backgrounds, because to pass that 11+, you need all that exam preparation.
I understand that. I am one of 5 brothers. My elder brother and me passed 11+. We do white-collar jobs. My 3 other brothers do blue-collar jobs, and they didn't pass the 11 plus. Now, the interesting thing I'm going to say to you is a lot of people complain about grammar school systems and whatever, and you use the word life transforming, different. My working class background, there's no way I would mix where I could mix or be with who I was or have doors open to me if I hadn't have gone to grammar school. And therefore, I'm very torn between people who want to do away with grammar schools, and I think, no, why? Why do you want to do? What's your view? Because I understand the balance. I understand give everybody the chance, raise the bar, don't lower the bar. What's your view on that?
I think I'm in favour of getting as many great schools as possible, whether it's a grammar school or a state comprehensive. I think the issue with just rolling out the grammar school system again is we know that the 11 plus can essentially be gamed by people with resources. So if grammar schools are great schools, absolutely we should let those schools expand. We shouldn't prevent them from expanding due to ideological reasons. But I think the thing we need to really focus on is how do we get more of these top performing state schools? Because if you speak to anyone who works in education, they'll always bang on about how there's no money, and yet you still have some schools that are getting low-income kids, they're 2 grades above what you'd expect, whilst others are failing them. Like, how can that happen in a country where everyone's got roughly the same amount of resources? So we need to focus on scaling those really good schools.
Well, Joe, you're going to enjoy talking to my next guest this morning, who's in the education business. As a matter of fact, she's top dog. She's the principal of LVS Ascot, and she's a friend of the show, Christine Cunliffe. Christine, always lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too. Good morning, everybody.
Very good. You're listening to what Joe's saying. Anything you want to contribute to that?
I think what you're doing, Joe, is absolutely fantastic. And we are seeing more of this now so that the education is accessible to many more children. I think we're going to see a big shift in the coming years. We're already seeing it already. So I think we don't take away from our children and what they've done last week and this week in their exam results. They've done exceptionally well. They're brilliant kids, and they've done what they've been told to do by their schools and by the government. And by the way, I don't think that education should be in the hands of a particular government, because we're seeing plans for reform now, which we won't see anything until 2026. It's too slow. The world is moving at an exponential rate more than ever before. And where is that word AI, large language models, for example? Where are they in our education? Because careers will be wiped out, and we've got to prepare our kids to be resilient.
But so prepare them, Christine, prepare them for what? In what way? Look, I went to, let's say the grammar school, and it was Latin, it was Greek, it was the classics, it was Henry IV, it was whatever. How did that prepare me for life? What I'm useless at money, managing household bills and all sorts of practical things. Even that, in the house I've got to hire a tradesman to do anything, and I feel a failure on that. Do you feel a failure on that front?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, that's me. So, Christine, where are we heading?
I've got no sympathy for you, Amy, because you can watch YouTube. My husband at the moment is changing the lights on his car by watching YouTube. So get a book, get YouTube, and learn how to do your own work. And I think I was expelled from a grammar school. It did no good for me at all. But what I learned when I was working my way up was resilience. And when we teach the curriculum, we have the freedom to use that curriculum to put the 4 C's in: critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking. Now, if we teach kids those skills through the curriculum, they will be prepared for the future. Because what we are seeing, as I said, is massive. And we need people like Joe, we need these entrepreneurs, we need people who can see what's happening to influence what's going to happen in the future. Because at the moment, I don't have any faith in what we're about to see in the next 2 years. Once that's published, it'll be out of date. It's out of date within a month now. Let's move on.
Joe, I'm listening to Christine, and I'm looking at you. You need to meet Christine and people like Christine. Do you agree?
100%. No, we work for around a third of all the state schools in the country, but I wish that was 100% because we want to reach students wherever they are. And the thing that really motivates me, Eamon, is there's a lot of support for kids who grow up in urban metropolises like London, but if you're a kid in a working class town in the UK, often you've never even met anyone who's been to one of these universities or careers before. So the more we can change that, get to people in places like Blackpool, Rotherham or Morley, where I grew up, the more we can genuinely level the playing field in this country.
I get that. And Christine, just another thing, because you teach boys and girls, yeah? And there's this report today that boys, when it comes to exams at 16 and 18 years of age, do not do as well as girls. Now, either they're being overlooked or there's different factors that we're not considering. What's your view on boys against girls?
Well, I think this story's been going around for all of my life, okay? And we're doing nothing about it. But I think where heads can be creative is realise boys and girls do learn differently, right? I've got 3 grown-up children, 2 of them are boys. And I know how much harder I've had to push those boys compared to my daughter, just because of the nature. And I'm not stereotyping. Well, yeah, I am. Okay. So let's get on it. Let's find out what makes boys tick, and let's get a curriculum that wants children in school. Because over 100,000 children are out of school at the moment for one reason or the other. Now, if we've got a lively curriculum, something that is fit for the future, kids will want to go to school. So I'm all for banging on about this. I constantly bang on about this, and I'd love to meet you, Joe.
What do you think?
Let's do it. Obviously, as a young male, I resonate with that a lot. I think it's been really difficult seeing a lot of politics has been dominated by real issues around diversity, but often kids from white working class backgrounds, especially boys, I think have been forgotten. And if you're living in a place like Rotherham or Coventry, and you're kind of told that the world is set up to be your oyster, and yet you don't see that in front of you in your home community, that can be a really confusing world for young boys. So I think doing more to make sure that we're supporting people from all backgrounds, whatever gender, whatever ethnicity, whatever socioeconomic class is the right thing to do.
Christine, Joe and I were talking off camera. We're both working class lads from working class families. Nobody in our families had ever been to university or third level education. I haven't been to university, but I've had third level education. And look at him, the great heights that he got to. What's your view, Christine? Because I'm just interested in you as an academic. The view and the role of grammar schools in a child's life. Is there any need for grammar schools? Do they help them excel, or do we just even the whole field?
Okay, so I'm a working class girl. I managed to get to grammar school through ruthless tutoring. It was the worst decision my parents ever made for me. I was expelled 2 years after. Now, I'm all for grammar schools. I'm not against them just because it didn't work for me. But what I've learned is that children learn at different times in their life. It's not a one-size-fits-all. And what I breathe through iSchool here is, so what is expected of some children won't happen at the same time for others. I've become a better academic as I've grown older, and I've learnt more about the world. And I think we need to be for 100% children, not the 93 and 7 split. It's about time we fought for 100% of children in our class, in our schools, to be able to access that great world that's out there. It's a shame that we are failing children on a daily basis.
Christine, you see, I love you. I know you talked about your husband there and whatever, and he can be jealous if he wants or whatever. But I love listening to you because I love your whole enthusiasm for education. And the thing is, Joe, you look at someone like Christine, and she would make me want to learn. Yeah. She would make me want to be part of it. And I'm sure you're exactly the same. We're out of time, guys. Joe, thank you, and good luck with everything that you're doing with Zero Gravity. Look it up, Zero Gravity. And Christine, thank you very much indeed for your lovely school in Ascot. I was in Ascot yesterday. I drove through Ascot yesterday, yeah. Small world.
Where we are. I need to come and post, because I think, remember, some years ago, I put you on the naughty step. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yes, you're right, absolutely. Yes,
I hope you get your lesson now, Eamon.
OK, God bless you. Look after yourself. Thank you very much indeed. Right, we're going to the break there, and we've got Steve Bennett. Steve's one of our reporters, and he's at a beautiful, beautiful flower show with a very poignant, significant touch to it this year. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heatwave conditions continue across much of central western parts of the Mediterranean. Plenty of sunshine. Now, there are a few thunderstorms around. Looking at the bigger picture for Monday, sunny spells across much of the Canaries. It'll be a lovely few days to come here. Spain and Portugal seeing some heat, the risk of 1 or 2 thunderstorms later, but a real risk of thunderstorms across Italy and into Greece, 1 or 2 of these on the heavy side. But the main outlook is for it to be warm and settled.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News. You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
What a gorgeous day it is today. I hope you're enjoying the sunshine. And England's largest independent flower show is in Southport today. And when we talk about Southport now, we associate it with tragedy and sadness and whatever from those events of a year ago. Our man Steve Bennett is there telling us all about the beautiful flower show and how they're going to commemorate events of a year ago. Hi, Steve.
Eamon, hello everyone, good afternoon. Yeah, it's beautiful here in Southport today and delighted to be joined by the General Manager, Alan. Alan, tell us, what makes the Southport Flower Show just so special?
Well, the visitors, the guests, and obviously today the weather.
Yeah, the weather is beautiful. We were just saying, we're a makeup department's nightmare, you and I, to try and sort this out in the sun. But lovely conditions. If people haven't already organised to come down, why should they today?
Well, today, for a great day out, Steve, to be honest, come down to Southport Flower Show. We've got everything. We've got show gardens, we've got entertainment, we've got music, we've got celebrity chefs here, we've got celebrity guests here as well, we've got children's trail, alpacas, you name it, we've got it.
Yeah, there's so much for people to do, isn't there? Still chance for people to come down. 50,000 people came to last year's. That was the 100th flower show that you'd had. And you're hoping to beat that number again this year?
Yeah, I mean, if the weather stays as it will do today, hopefully, and we can get more people coming through the gates today, we'll certainly beat that record, yes.
Yeah, like you said, there's so much for people to see and do, and we're stood in front of one of these lovely show gardens now. So much effort goes into it, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. The landscapers have been on site for about 3 weeks. Our team's been planning this all year round. We look after the park every single day of the year ourselves, being a charity ourselves. We look after Victoria Park, but it's amazing. There's so much hard work goes into these gardens, but not just the gardens, but the actual setup and the whole infrastructure of the show. Yeah, it takes a while to put up, and it will take a while to break down as well.
Alan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. So there you have it, Eamon. The conditions are lovely down here. The sun is shining. If you haven't done already, you haven't organised tickets, get yourself down. There's still time. We're here till 5 o'clock tonight.
Good man. You two just slap it all over. Remember, that's as about get those heads covered up. Thank you very much indeed. As Steve said, we'll be back to him, and we're going to be back with you after the break. And that's it for this hour. Still lots more to come. You're watching GB News. This is Britain's news channel.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. A bit more in the way of cloud developing this evening and overnight in the east, but a sunny end to the weekend for the vast majority, and those winds will be easing down across the far southwest of England too. High pressure will dominate through much of the week ahead, but this weather front may just bring a few showers to the very far southwest of England on Monday. But a fine and sunny picture through the rest of Sunday afternoon and evening for the vast majority, but that cloud across the North Sea coastal regions tending to push its way a bit further westwards as we go through the overnight hours, perhaps bringing the odd spot or two of light rain or drizzle in places too. But that cloud keeping temperatures fairly high tonight, so a milder night to come and lows generally of 14 or 15 Celsius in the main towns and cities. As we begin the day on Monday, then a fairly gloomy and grey start for some northern and eastern parts of Scotland. Relatively misty in places perhaps too, but much brighter skies further west. Blue skies and wall-to-wall sunshine for the vast majority of western Scotland. Some sunshine too for northwest England and Northern Ireland. And western parts of Wales and southwest England will also see some sunshine as well. Quite a bit cloudier elsewhere, though. That cloud really fairly slow to burn off and break up, I think, as we go through the day on Monday. So a much cloudier day to come compared to on Sunday, particularly across the Midlands and northeastern parts of England, where it may not clear through much of the day, but most places seeing at least some sunshine developing, the best of which probably across western parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. And here we could see highs of 25 or 26 degrees Celsius. Generally a little bit cooler elsewhere compared to of late, and certainly on those North Sea coasts with that breeze coming in, feeling a little bit cooler. A few showers across the southwest of England through the afternoon, the odd thunderstorm drifting northwards towards southwest Wales perhaps in the evening, but generally those fading away as we go into Tuesday, so lots of fine weather through the week ahead, not as warm as it has been, and there will be some cloud around, but feeling pleasant.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could win your mortgage or rent paid for a whole year. That's a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to a whopping £20,000. Plus, we'll add an extra £5,000 on top for good measure. Make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very nice to see you on this Sunday. Welcome to the Michael Portillo Show, but not for today because Michael is off chasing trains or whatever he does so very, very well. I'm Eamon Holmes with you until 1 o'clock. In a massive show of solidarity, it's been announced that various European leaders, including the French President, the Italian Prime Minister, will be joining the Ukrainian top man Zelensky tomorrow when he meets Donald Trump at the White House. But the big question is, will Sir Keir Starmer be there? The Deputy Prime Minister, in other news, has accused Reform UK leader Nigel Farage of supporting what she terms as a Wild West online that would enable vile, misogynistic culture on social media. I'll be discussing that with my panel in just a few minutes' time. Economists are warning that Britain's housing market is heading for a slow-motion car crash. I was speaking to a successful business owner who has a unique insight into affordable housing in the UK. He says he's the richest gypsy in the whole country. The 75th anniversary of the Edinburgh military tattoo is underway and taking over the night sky with lights, music and fireworks. GB News Scotland reporter Tony Maguire will let you into what's happening. And we've just been to the Southport Flower Show. And the families of BB King and Alice Aguiar and Elsie Dott Stancombe are attending to promote the work of their charities after those awful events of a year ago. Our reporter Steve Bennett is on the ground.
That's about 50,000 people attended the Southport Flower Show last year. They're expecting to break that number this year. And if you haven't done already, there's still plenty of time to organise your trip to get down today.
Thanks, Steve. Look forward to that. Right now, let's bring you a news update. Bethany Elsie. Good morning, Bethany.
Eamon, thank you. Good afternoon. Your top stories from the GB newsroom. European leaders will join Volodymyr Zelensky when he meets with Donald Trump in Washington tomorrow. The European Commission President and the heads of Germany, Italy and France and Finland will be involved in the face-to-face talks at the White House to try and secure a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. There has been no word yet on whether Sir Keir Starmer will be attending. Zelensky is currently in Brussels for a meeting of the Coalition of the Willing. The group, which is made up of more than 30 nations, are holding a video call this afternoon. It's understood they are prepared to put troops on the ground in Ukraine once the war is over to deter any further Russian aggression. Russia's president has made demands to take control of key regions of Ukraine as a condition for ending the war. Several news outlets are reporting that Vladimir Putin told Donald Trump during their talks in Alaska on Friday that he wants to keep the occupied Donetsk and Luhansk regions. In exchange, the Russian leader said he would freeze the front line in the southern regions and vowed to not launch any new attacks to take more territory. Mr. Trump is said to support this plan. It's also reported that Mr. Putin reiterated his core demands that would undermine Ukraine's statehood and roll back the expansion of NATO. In other news, the Home Secretary has defended her decision to prescribe Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation. More than 700 people have been arrested since the group was banned last month. A further 13 were arrested yesterday, and dozens more are facing prosecution. Writing in The Observer, Yvette Cooper said free speech remains an important part of the UK's democracy, which will always be protected. But she argued the group has carried out an escalating campaign with disturbing information about future attacks. Emergency services have recovered the body of a child from the River Swale in North Yorkshire. An extensive search operation was carried out last night after a 12-year-old boy went missing in the water in Richmond. His family are being supported by specialist officers. And artificial intelligence is being piloted in the NHS to free up hospital beds by discharging patients quicker. The technology could potentially save hours of delays. The Health Secretary says the move will allow doctors to spend less time on paperwork and more time focused on care. It's just one of a number of projects backed by the Prime Minister, who says AI will be used to turn around the economy and public services, including the criminal justice system and schools. The Science and Technology Secretary, Peter Kyle, says patient safety will always be a priority.
It can take over a day to have patients discharged because of the complicated set of medical circumstances that brought them into hospital in the first place. We think we can get that down to minutes by using technology that analyses the conversations that doctors are having, which means doctors can focus on the relationship with their patients rather than spending so much time writing things down and trying to get hold of paperwork from other clinicians.
You're up to date. I'll have more for you in half an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are, online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Just while you were listening to watching Bethany there, I was looking through the newspapers and I could look who I came across. Me in the Sunday Times home section, and that's my little dog, Maggie, there, who is an adopted dog. And that picture, she's 17 years of age now, absolutely amazing. And I got a DNA test done on her, and she's a cross between a Border Collie, which you can see, and then she's like a tiny little black fox, but she's crossed with a sausage dog. So she is. But basically, that's the result there. But I would just say to you, if you're thinking of getting a dog or, you know, a pet like that, adopt. Don't shop. Please don't. There's so many adopted dogs out there and lovely, and Maggie's changed my life for 17 years. That's in the Sunday Times home section today. Now, within the past hour, it has been confirmed that Emmanuel Macron, the French president, the Italian prime minister, and the German chancellor will all be meeting Donald Trump in Washington tomorrow. It appears to be a massive show of solidarity with President Zelensky and Ukraine in general. We're going to get the thoughts of my panel. They've already been on speaking, entertaining and informing us this morning. Political commentator Aman Bogle, former Conservative advisor Jennifer Powers, and former Labour advisor Scarlett Maguire. What do you make, Scarlett, of what we're hearing in terms of who is actually now, it was going to be Zelensky, now it's going to be the whole of Europe seemingly represented?
Yes, and I'm assuming that at some stage we'll hear that Keir Starmer's going. Look, I think it's really, really important. It shows how seriously Donald Trump is taking this, that actually he wants European buy-in, he wants Ukrainian buy-in.
It would suggest to me, Scarlett, he hasn't got what he wanted or what he was looking for or what he was expecting, because he's obviously getting everybody else in to say, now, here's where we're at. Are you guys going to accept this?
Well, we know that what he wanted was a ceasefire. I mean, he now says, well, ceasefire, you know, peace is better. Of course peace is better than a ceasefire, right? But we haven't got peace either. And yes, I think you're right. I think he's getting them in to say, OK, this is as far as I think I can get. I don't think I can get Putin any further. If we want the war to stop, we've got to do some land swaps. And so this way, he's hoping...
You know, I wonder, you say land swaps, Jennifer, I just wonder what swap there's going to be. Land swaps or land gives?
Well, indeed, and we touched on last segment that there is a bit of the Donbass still under Ukrainian control, and the briefing coming out of the White House via other sources is that Putin wants to take that from Ukraine, and he will then withdraw Russian forces from elsewhere where they've made slight incursions into Ukrainian territory. I mean, at the moment, Russia controls 20% of Ukrainian land, so it's a pretty sizable amount. But, going back to the point about the European leaders being in Washington, I'm not surprised by this, and I would put money on Keir Starmer turning up there as well. And the reason I'm not surprised is because both the president and the vice president, J.D. Vance, have been very clear that they see Ukraine, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, as primarily a European problem. And so whilst the US has been predominantly funding the war effort until now, and Europe is, promising to do more, I think they want Europe to take more of a lead. And yes, at the moment, Europe doesn't have the defence spending to take as much of a lead.
Does he want Europe to take more of a lead, man? Because, I'm sitting thinking he's going to say, look, this is what we've agreed to, this is where we're going, and he's going to see if they object. Now, is it subtle between more of a lead and maybe objecting?
Well, I think, I think European leaders know that the writing is on the wall. Right. So far, they've bankrupted the next 3 generations of taxpayers. They've borrowed money they don't have, and they've begged India to provide inflation-busting cheap fuel, masquerading as Russian crude. The bottom line here is, Eamon, I would argue that if you look at previously, President Trump said, look, NATO has to pay its way, right? The 2% of national GDP, the minimum. So many European countries haven't been doing that. This is a European problem that's been superimposed onto the rest of the world in terms of higher fuel costs, in terms of geopolitical instability. And let's be honest, the Americans are far more interested in dealing with the rest of the world, particularly the Indo-Pacific, and stabilizing the American economy and the deficit there.
Dealing with the rest of the world than Europe?
Than Europe, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. OK. How's this going to end, guys? Jennifer, what do you think?
I like pretty much everyone. I found the Alaskan summit to be an anticlimax. Disappointed. I was really hopeful, I think like a lot of us, that there was going to be the announcement of a ceasefire so that we could, at that point, work toward a peace deal. But I'm still mildly optimistic. I think I'm more optimistic than my panel mates, and I'm more optimistic than a lot of the commentators that you read in the papers.
Scarlett?
I never thought there'd be a ceasefire. I mean, there was no way Putin was going to agree to a ceasefire. It's not what he wants.
It's not a style.
He wants land. He wants more of it. I think this is going to be what he wants is something long and drawn out, so that he can go on getting more land, making it more difficult. As far as he's concerned, he has no interest in peace. He wants Ukraine.
OK. Let's move on to some other subjects that are featuring in the papers today. A man, we go to the front page of the Telegraph, and they have this story, which is, I just reached for it here, about Nigel Farage. There's a couple of stories there about the tax strike or whatever it is. Can't see the Nigel Farage story. Anyway, they have a story. You're quite right. That's why, because that's the wrong newspaper I'm looking at. No wonder I put my glasses on. And there it is there. Angela Rayner, Deputy Labour Prime Minister, accuses Nigel Farage of failing women over revenge porn. What's this story about, man?
Well, this is about the government's attempts at curtailing people's rights to online privacy and usage of things like Twitter and Facebook and online social media, because this is basically Labour running scared of Nigel Farage. They've set up a new attack unit within Number 10.
To personally attack him, do you think? Or?
To personally attack Nigel Farage, because they're running scared for one very simple reason. I think Nigel Farage is resonating with the average man and woman out there on the street far more than out-of-touch Starmer.
Excuse me, can I just ask you how and where and why is he resonating when it comes to revenge porn? What's he saying?
Because this is not about revenge porn, you see, this is about control of people's ability to have privacy online. We saw the moment this law came in, 1,400% is the surge that we saw in terms of people downloading VPNs. We even have Labour ministers who are putting VPN costs on expenses being paid for by taxpayers. It doesn't work. The whole idea that somehow you could save young people from viewing porn or inappropriate things online just simply by bringing in this law, it's for the birds.
I was looking at the news during the week, and the report was that since the restrictions, the age limit restriction was brought in, one porn site alone had lost 1 million subscribers.
Well, that's probably because they're all trafficking in via a third country than the UK via VPN. Look, a 12-year-old can download a VPN on the Google Play Store, on the Apple Play Store.
VPN?
VPN basically means a virtual private network. So between your device and the internet, you set up a private virtual tunnel that makes the whole idea of being able to be monitored.
You know what the interesting thing is, Scarlett? People like me, I have no idea what he's talking about.
But the average 12-year-old...
It doesn't happen. I'm just trying to say, I can see how it's relevant to certain lives, and I go, why is this an issue? And you're explaining to me why it is an issue.
But the thing about the Online Safety Act is the biggest problem is that technology moves at such a pace that... And this came in... I mean, the Conservatives brought this in 2023, right? And it's still being enacted, yes. and already it's slightly out of date. But actually, what we've got to do is we've got to be trying, because what happens online? I mean, the abuse of children, the pornography, the sites that encourage people to suicide, let alone the appalling revenge porn for women. I mean, there's an awful lot now. We're not going to get it right first time. So what we have to be doing is we have to look at it, and we have to keep refining the act. But we've got to do something. We can't.
I agree that
really
we should do
is a
something.
Wild West.
I agree we should do something. I think the Online Safety Act was a decade in the making, and the government didn't know what to do. They did something badly, but I agree with you, and that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. And I think we should age-gate the internet. We should do what Australia and some other countries are looking at, which is under 16s should not be allowed on the internet at all.
Jennifer, I get so depressed. I look at stuff particularly on my Instagram account, and I go, well, that's interesting. And I go, that couldn't be real. And I see a plane crash or a car crash or an interview with Humphrey Bogart or something that is, and then you realise it says this is AI.
Yeah.
And I think, why have I just wasted 3 minutes of my time watching this and nothing is blooming real?
Well, you make a good point, because things are moving so quickly, as you said, Scarlett, that we need to get them right now. We need to move. And so the government has absolutely refused. They have said, we've got the Online Safety Act, let's see how that goes. And I say, no, absolutely not. We need to move now, because AI and virtual reality are coming more every day. And every single day, children are viewing hardline pornography, they're being cyberbullied, they're having their mental health deteriorate. We're all fragmenting our attentions. Globally, we're becoming stupider. Global IQ is falling. So the government does
You talk about children there, but would the same thing apply to adults? So as if, right, your children, you shouldn't be allowed, but the rest of you's okay.
See, I'm different.
Is it affecting...
It is affecting adults, but I would say as adults we have agency. And so whilst I think there's wonderful things, there's some wonderful AI products that are coming on the market that will be filters for content that will stop naked images of children being harmed, I think the real priority needs to safeguard children, and that's why I think the government needs to act on a whole range of measures.
Here's a couple of stories, and I think they're wrong. Front page of the Times. Just one of these papers here. It's about,
which story?
Front page of the Times, and it's about horse racing.
Oh, yes.
And
it's the opposite.
But well done, you. Racing goes on strike over tax. Now, Aman, you talk me through this one, because what I'm worried about, I can understand the tax problem. I understand how expensive it must be to keep a racehorse, to transport a racehorse, to go to a meeting, the great sociability there is with these race meetings and whatever. But I cannot see the advantage on going on strike, because it's only the race courses like Doncaster or Lingfield or whatever that are going to lose out as a result.
Well, look, I mean, this is unprecedented in our national history, that for the first time in our history this is happening, that racehorse is going on strike for a day on 10th of September. And this is, of course, to do with the fact that the government wants to raise the tax on income from betting from 15% to 21%. And, of course, Gordon Brown is saying that it should go on.
So if I was to win 100 quid, then instead of paying 15 quid in tax, I'd pay £20 tax. Is that it?
Well, pretty much. But Gordon Brown, the former Labour Prime Minister, wants it to go even further in some online gambling of horse racing.
What's the point of even doing it then?
Well, it's, as with so many things that Labour have put through, it's about trying to tax their way out of their 50 billion black hole. It simply won't work. It's going to cost a £330 million loss to the racehorse horsing industry. It's going to push more people to gambling online.
Now, is this definitely going to happen, or is this proposed this is going to happen?
I think it's being floated ahead of the budget, right?
Yes.
And this really plays into this larger conundrum that the government has, which is with this ballooning fiscal deficit, where do they go? We are so highly taxed in this country. What options do they have left? And so here, you know, you have, oh, well, let's tax horse racing. Well, many people would say that has its own unique culture. You know, it's a sporting event. It's very community focused.
It's a part of our national tapestry.
It is a part of our heritage. And if you're going to penalise bookmakers, particularly for horse racing, that will have catastrophic impacts on the industry.
Because, of course, the bookmakers are so poor. I mean, Paddy Power, you know, not multi-millionaire.
My father used to say, you never see a poor one. That's what he used to say, which sort of puts me off.
The other problem, you know, the thing about gambling, we do have to remember that a lot of the gambling, they encourage people, and it is a terribly addictive thing, and it ruins lives.
Here's an appeal from the police forces, and they're showing that they're talking about that if you go into a shop, the best way to put off a shoplifter is you report the crime yourself, and the shop should provide people to meet and greet and let the prospective shoplifter realise they're being watched, which is a way of taking the responsibility off the police and on to the shop owner who's finding it hard enough to make money.
Isn't this a bit like a sort of regurgitated idea of those cardboard cutout bobbies you used to see in, you know, on high street shops, trying to make it look as though there's a police officer standing there, even though it's a cardboard cutout. And it's exactly what this is. This is not going to stop shoplifting, which is at an annual high of, what, 500,000 incidents each year?
I don't agree with you. So my local little baby Sainsbury's normally has a man standing there and you say hello to him and everything. And the one time I was really shocked, I saw a woman put things into her bag, which, you know, you do, and then just walk out without paying. And he wasn't there. So I couldn't say to him, hold on. And there was nobody. And actually, I think the man standing there probably does deter quite a lot of shoplifters.
It's an awful thing. Listen, somebody's stolen all my time. Got no more time to talk
Scarlett stole your time.
On this lovely day, thank you for coming inside in this hot studio today to talk to us. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you very much indeed. Right, coming up, economists are warning that the housing market is heading for a slow-motion car crash. It doesn't sound good. Back talking about that after this. You're watching GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo. A bridge between Italy and Sicily was envisaged by the Romans, but just this week the Italian government has approved the €13.5 billion project. There remain concerns that the money intended for the project could be siphoned off by the Cosa Nostra. Joining us now live from Rome is historian Alexander Mariotti. Alexander, it's absolutely great to see you.
Thank you.
Tell me about the Roman plan. How did they intend to get across from the mainland to Sicily?
Well, it seems that according to the sources, they were successful in 250 BC during the Sicilian Wars but it was a pontoon bridge. It was a temporary bridge, and the purpose was to transport war elephants across for the Romans. Now, temporary bridges, all really they could have done. And in fact, the fact that there's no bridge today speaks to the difficulty of actually constructing it for a couple of reasons. One of the main ones is just the gale force winds that happen to pass through the Straits of Messina, not to mention that there's an incredible amount of seismic activity that took place. So even the great engineers of the Romans who were able to build the Colosseum did not foresee a feasible bridge that could connect the two pieces of land.
Mm. Now, the seismic risk, yes, indeed. I mean, Messina was devastated in an earthquake. If I recall, at the beginning of the 20th century, you must put me right. But do we think we've dealt with the seismic risk?
Well, you're absolutely correct. The 1908 earthquake was absolutely devastating. First of all, it killed between 70 to 85,000 people, not to mention the tsunamis that it created. So there is that risk. Now, in fairness, there's bridges in Japan that are completely adept to dealing with the seismic activity. So the engineers themselves on this project are fairly confident that that's not going to be an issue.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No Michael today. Michael's having a day off. Me, Eamon Holmes, with you on this Sunday. Now, economists are warning that the housing market is heading for a slow-motion car crash, whatever that means. This is following stamp duty rates going up, high interest rates, and a man who's got a unique insight into what all of that's like to run a successful business and also has a unique insight into affordable housing is Alfie Best. Alfie is the founder of Wildcrest Parks, and he's known as Britain's richest gypsy. Alfie, lovely seeing you again, my friend.
It's a pleasure, Eamon, as always. I hope you're well.
Yeah, and congratulations on the Amazon Prime program that you're on. So explain to us what the Amazon Prime program is showing, because we're going to talk about housing rates or how you offer an alternative to all of this as well. So what's the program showing us?
It's a film documentary that was made about my life, but tailored within to the rise of Wildcrest Parks and affordable housing, and how it is the solution to the problem that Britain has been facing for many years, not just now, where it's basically a third of the cost to buy a park home, which is basically a modular built residential home, as opposed to bricks and mortar.
Now, why, Alfie, is this an alternative? I've gone filming with you in the past, about 7 years or so ago, and my goodness me, you have a lifestyle and you've got a very dependable business, and this business has only got stronger since I last met you. So we're talking, could you describe to people, when I try and describe the houses that we're talking about with you, they're not portable, but how would you describe them?
Look, under the legislation that it's basically a caravan park, but built as a residential modular village. So the only reason that you would describe them as a caravan is because they have wheels and they're manufactured, and that's due to the planning, which is archaic in this country, that it has to be a movable item. But once they're on site, it is extremely rare that they're ever moved.
Yeah, and you know, again, just to explain to anyone who's never been, and these parks, they can be anywhere in the country. Some of the really, most plush, affluent areas and whatever, and they have little gardens and flower beds around them, and people really care for them and look after them. But the thing is, they're permanent homes, aren't they? It's not as if someone's coming to stay in it for 2 weeks a year.
Yes, they're a fully residential home. These are not holiday homes. They're there as a permanent dwelling, and they're your permanent house. And to the naked eye, when you walk onto a park, you cannot tell the difference between that and a conventional bricks and mortar home.
Yeah. Now, you see, listening, and we're going to talk about this whole business thing about the state of the economy and housing and things as well. But we've got Michael Simmons, who joins us now in the studio. And Michael, who is it you write for the
Spectator magazine?
The Spectator. So we're talking highbrow here, Alfie. Michael, explain to us the market that Alfie is venturing into. And then Alfie's going to tell us why there is a demand for it.
Well, the housing market now is in this situation where nobody can buy a conventional house because they're so expensive, you know, as we know, relative to the average income. So no one has enough for a deposit. Nobody has a big enough salary to get, you know, a bank to lend them at a serious amount. But what we're seeing now as well is no one can sell houses either, right? Because the demand is not there, but also there's so much the regulation Alfie talked about, but the tax environment now is so negative against the property transactions because, you know, the increases to the thresholds on things like stamp duty. It just makes it so hard to transact on a property. But also nobody is building, you know, other than Alfie, no one is building affordable housing in a conventional sense.
And
so there's nowhere for you to go.
We're really talking affordable, Alfie, aren't we? I mean, give me a price range that we could be talking about.
Well, if you think an average bungalow in Windsor, and I'm using this as an extreme, would be close to £1 million in Windsor. The same park home on Cranbourne Park would be £250,000, and it would be an exact same square footage. If you look at another park, which is in Newcastle, all of a sudden that home would be 190,000, maybe 150,000, and the average bungalow price there would be, say, 250,000. So just like any other property, location defines the price of the property because the park costs more to buy.
Yeah, and as I say, you're in some. It's not as if you're in sort of waste disposal areas or whatever it is. You're in really good areas. And Alfie took me when he was touring me about what he owns and his properties, whatever. We went in Alfie's helicopter, which was very, very nice to do. And so why you can totally see why he's got and business has increased, Alfie, hasn't it? For you? Our
business is growing year on year. What I can tell you is we're having to constantly relook at construction margins all the time because I'll give you an instance. Over the last 3 years, construction prices within the UK have gained by at least 40%. And that's after COVID. So like all of these factors that come into play, slowly but surely squeeze everything, not only affordable housing, but it's people that are building bricks and mortar at this moment in time. Well, I can actually see that coming to a standstill.
Let's get the analyst's view on all of this.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to see more and more demand for things that like Alfie is offering because, you know, London is not building affordable housing. The government says it wants to build housing, you know, full stop, but it's...
Can I just ask you, I mean, there's Alfie in the private market, the private sector, doing very, very well, really, really well in all of this. Why aren't there more Alfies in the country?
Well, I think it's just, it's not what people would expect, right, as conventional housing.
But when you get there, honestly, you can sit and think, what am I paying a massive mortgage for when I could be living here?
Exactly. And the instinct to, you know, own your own bricks and mortar, own your own house is completely human. And I think more and more people will flood to offerings like this because if the conventional housing market just remains inaccessible for most people, we will see more of this. You see it, you know, on the canal outside here as well. There are more and more people that look at potentially living on a houseboat and different options. And because people want to own their own place, and if the government and the market doesn't adjust to make that, you know, possible, there'll be more and more Alfies, and people will look for sort of unconventional.
I'm not sure Alfie wants more Alfie, but basically.
Can I just say, I completely agree. I completely agree with you, but I actually also think, as somebody that sees themselves just as British through and through, it's our human right as a British person. I can't speak about worldwide, but British person to own their own home, and slowly that has been squeezed and taken away from us. Constantly. I was brought up in a caravan, and then obviously caravans became static caravans, then they became park homes, then they became park home bungalows. Look, and I'll be brutally blunt, as a company, it hasn't been easy in what we do, because the trouble is we're making the legislation as we're going along and constantly being criticised by that, because it isn't the norm. It's only a small fraction of it. But what I can tell you is, and it would be rude of me to actually say it, we're now having certain councils reach out to us and ask, is this a solution to their problems?
And that is the question, and maybe you've provided the answer, Alfie. Thank you. And Michael, thank you. And I should say to you both, I often look at my name and I think, Eamon, I should have a company, I should be a developer, Eamon's Homes, or an estate agent, Eamon's Homes, something like that. You know, it could be a whole move over Alfie Best. That's what I would say. That's what it could be. Alfie, lovely talking to you. Michael, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it.
Michael,
Coming up, thank you. Tony Maguire has been revelling in the sound of the pipes at the Edinburgh Military Tattoo. It is that time of the year. We'll bring you that coming up. Before that, Bethany Elsie. Let's go to her. And we've got some breaking news coming in.
Eamon, thank you. Good afternoon. We'll start with some breaking news. In the last few moments, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has announced he will be among several European leaders joining Volodymyr Zelensky for talks with Donald Trump in Washington tomorrow. Russia's president is demanding Ukraine surrenders key regions, including Donetsk and Luhansk, as a condition for ending the war. The Home Secretary has defended her decision to prescribe Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation, saying the group has carried out an escalating campaign with disturbing information about future attacks. Artificial intelligence is being piloted by the NHS to free up hospital beds by discharging patients quicker, potentially saving hours of delays. Those are the latest headlines. More for you at the top of the hour.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are, online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Some eastern coasts will be quite cool and grey today, but for most of us it's going to be another sunny and warm day. Still quite breezy in the southwest though, and that's courtesy of the ice bars being a little bit closer together here. And as we go into tomorrow, we watch this weather front here. That might bring some showers and a few thunderstorms in places. But back to Sunday afternoon, and it's blue skies and sunny conditions for the vast majority of us. But along these North Sea coasts, it will be generally quite a bit cloudier, and with those grey skies, it will feel quite a bit cooler as well. So temperatures here perhaps pegged back to the high teens or low 20s. Further west, though, temperatures once again into the mid-20s, so feeling very warm indeed in that strong sunshine. But certainly quite a cool evening to come across some northern parts of Scotland due to that low cloud. It might even be bringing some misty conditions in places too, so just 13 to 15 degrees Celsius on the coasts. Further west, though, many mainland and western parts of Scotland seeing a warm evening to come. Some high-level cloud in the sky across parts of Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest. So the sunshine somewhat hazier here, but generally a warm and sunny evening to come for many parts of the UK. As we go into this evening and overnight then, that cloud across the North Sea will slowly drift its way further westwards, so turning fairly cloudy with potentially a few spots of drizzle in places as well as we go into the early hours. And the cloud generally acting like a blanket, so temperatures staying a little bit higher than last night for most of us, lows of 14 or 15 Celsius in most towns and cities, a little bit chillier where the skies stay clear. Now, Monday does promise to be a somewhat cloudier day compared to over the weekend for many of us. That cloud quite stubborn to clear, particularly across northeastern parts of England. Here, the odd spot or two of drizzle perhaps in places too. We're watching a few heavy showers developing across the southwest through the afternoon, perhaps the odd thunderstorm. But in the best of the sunshine, particularly in western Scotland, highs reaching 25 or 26 degrees Celsius.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Wake up with a familiar face. She's back on breakfast television. Penny Smith returns.
Miss me? Well, I'm here and I brought the coffee.
And we're reuniting to brighten your morning.
It's just like old times, only better.
So join Penny and me Monday and Tuesday only on GB News Breakfast. Penny and I tomorrow, 6 through to 9:30 a.m. I hope you can join us on television, on radio and online as well. Just looking at your comments coming in today. Steve says Putin is a chess master and a skilled martial artist in the theatre of war, and that's his speciality. There's always a reason that he has the advantage on things. Many of you are missing the point, says Phil. Putin has said it many times, no to NATO on his border. And Grumpy Grandad, Ukraine, both sides will need to make compromises. That's where the problem lies. Europe's leaders don't want to compromise with Putin. If it wasn't for them, I suspect this war would be over by now. Very complicated and obviously a lot of strong feelings about that. Just a reminder off that breaking news, Sir Keir Starmer will join Zelensky and the European leaders for a meeting with President Trump at the White House tomorrow. That has been confirmed by Downing Street in the last few minutes. Other matters now. After 75 years of delighting audiences at Edinburgh Castle, the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo is switching things up for its milestone celebration. International bands representing America, Ukraine, Poland and British Armed Forces are once again taking over the Edinburgh night sky with lights and music and fireworks. Tony Maguire met some of the performers.
Like the rhythm of a drum, the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo has been the beating heart of the Edinburgh festivals for 75 incredible years. The global phenomenon has switched gears for this year's milestone, with a cast of hundreds placing a greater emphasis on narrative to pay tribute to armed forces around the world. In his first year as creative director, Alan Lane hopes audiences will join with performers in looking to the future as well as to the past.
Right at the end of the show, we have a character called Ritik, which of course means future in Gaelic. And she comes in and she offers a promise to the audience and to the cast for another 75 years of the Edinburgh Tattoo. We talk a lot here about honouring our past and imagining our future, and we have to do both those things at once, both of them together. But there is a list of things on my wall that people demand, and I was like, well, let's give them as many of those as we can in our first year.
As ever, this year's show, The Heroes Who Made Us, is carried by the strength of its performers. Separate groups that come together in a seamless ensemble, be it the Swiss fan favourite Top Secret Drum Corps, the hypnotically precise US Army drill team, or the Ukrainian Naval Forces Orchestra. This year's lineup has pulled out all the stops to light the way for a fresh chapter of this epic annual performance.
If you were looking for a That's What I Call Bagpipe CD, if you remember those CDs, this show has all of them.
How fast we can go, how difficult can it be, but it also has to look amazing, sound amazing.
I love the narrator. He's an incredible artist, and just even hearing his voice is incredibly moving.
He raises his arm and the drone just flies straight up in the sky, and it makes you feel like it's something from another planet.
Yeah, so the bar does get raised definitely more and more every year. The dances just keep getting better and better.
Much has changed at the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. The 75th anniversary show is reliably impressive and remembers the countless heroes that allowed us to celebrate the 80th anniversary of victory in Europe this year. But modern additions like the finale drone show, the cheeky shenanigans of our narrator friend, the castle projections and pyrotechnics all leave audiences confident little Ritik may just get her wish.
To another 75 years.
Tony Maguire, GB News, Edinburgh.
And if you're going, have a good time. Time for the Great British Giveaway, your chance to live mortgage rent-free for a year, plus have an extra £5,000 in your bank to play with. And if you don't pay a monthly mortgage or rent payment, we will give you £15,000 in cash instead. Not a bad deal. Here's what you need to know.
We want to send some of those monthly financial stresses packing this August with your chance to be mortgage or rent-free for 12 whole months. We'll give you a cash lump sum that equals 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to an amazing £20,000. We'll also throw in an extra £5,000 on top of that for good measure, because why not? And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you. We'll give you £15,000 tax-free cash instead. What are you waiting for? Lines will close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
No, it's a lovely day, this end of the world. I hope it is wherever you're watching or listening today. We've got Steve Bennett out. Steve's at England's largest independent flower show. That's in Southport. It's absolutely beautiful. And we're going to join him shortly. So please do share that with us on this Britain's News Channel.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heatwave conditions continue across much of central western parts of the Mediterranean. Plenty of sunshine. Now, there are a few thunderstorms around. Looking at the bigger picture for Monday, sunny spells across much of the Canaries. It'll be a lovely few days to come here. Spain and Portugal seeing some heat, the risk of 1 or 2 thunderstorms later, but a real risk of thunderstorms across Italy and into Greece, 1 or 2 of these on the heavy side. But the main outlook is for it to be warm and settled.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Now, the governing body of tennis, which is the Lawn Tennis Association, has been accused of effectively breaking the law.
Yes, that's after reports that they encouraged transgender people to participate in women's tournaments. Well, we're now joined by the former Olympic swimmer Sharon Davies to discuss this. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, just bring us up to date, because the LTA, I think in January, made what could have been seen as quite a positive decision to stop trans players, trans women, so biological men, from competing against women in the elite game. But tell us what's different about the amateur game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really important that we do use the correct language, because they're not banning anyone. They're just stopping biological males from competing against biological females. It's really that simple. And what's very frustrating is that basically they're saying, if you're really good, we're going to give you fair and safe sport. If you're not quite so good, we're not going to give you fair and safe sport. I mean, what a ludicrous situation that we're actually in. And as you say, I mean, it's been 100 days now since the Supreme Court ruling. It made it absolutely clear that a women's event means that it's a women's event only if it has biological females in it. If it has any form of man in it, no matter how they got to call themselves, what they want to wear, then it's a mixed sex event. So, you know, they are encouraging local clubs, you know, to not actually follow the law, to not give fair sport to pathways, to recreational, to juniors. You know, these people now are just expected to have unfair sport. And how do we get the elites if we don't make sure that the way forward and the way through is fair? And this is not just tennis. You know, golf is bad too. We still have 30 sports in the UK that don't protect the female category, including things like taekwondo, would you believe, and gymnastics.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Wake up with a familiar face. She's back on breakfast television. Penny Smith returns.
Miss me? Well, I'm here and I brought the coffee.
And we're reuniting to brighten your morning.
It's just like old times, only better.
So join Penny and me Monday and Tuesday only on GB News Breakfast. And Michael will be back with you next Sunday. England's largest independent flower show is taking place in Southport today, and a very good day for it. And members of the families of B.B. King, Alice Aguilar and Elsie Stott-Stancombe, who were killed in that knife attack at the dance class in Southport last year, are attending. And what they're going to do is they're going to talk about the work of the respective charities they have for the girls. And let's go to Steve Bennett, who's there at the whole flower show for us today, and he will tell us and show us more. Look at that, that's a great sight. Sunflowers.
That's right, good afternoon, Eamon, good afternoon, everyone. We are in amongst the sunflowers, joined by Nikki Green. Nikki, it's impressive to look at, isn't it?
Hi, Eamon, here amongst the sunflowers. Yes, everybody loves a sunflower. It makes them smile. They're all grown locally in Lydia in Lancashire. So we bring the sunshine to Southport.
So what does make sunflowers so great? Because everywhere I look today, people have got a bouquet of them.
Oh, they just love it. Everyone says it makes them smile, which I agree with as well. They're just such happy flowers.
Yeah. You've come from Poplar Farm, that's where you guys are from, and this isn't your first year, is it, coming to the Southport Flower Show?
No, we've been displaying for many, many, many years. We were the first display to be interactive with the public, so we encourage people to come onto our stand, have their pictures taken, and they just love the interaction. The kids love it, they think they're king and queen, and it's just great to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a queue, hasn't there, all day today? You've had to quickly jump in so we can do this. A very popular exhibit, isn't it?
It really is, and we're on every website and Facebook, and with the celebrities, they all come on and have their pictures taken every year, which is fantastic. Yeah, it's just great, and it's just nice that everyone is recognising British-grown flowers.
You were saying off camera how difficult it's been to grow sunflowers this year. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, this year it's been so dry because sunflowers just love water. They love to drink. Now, we as a show love the sunshine. We've had many years where it's been raining, but this year it's been really tough, and they've come a bit smaller and a little bit shorter, but they've managed to arrive for the flower show. But yeah, they do like a lot more water than we've been having.
And what happens at the end of the day today? What happens to all of these flowers at kind of close of play?
So everybody comes at the sell-off time and we sell whatever is in a display bucket. We sell those off to the public and they just love it, yes.
Yeah, but that's great, isn't it? Everyone can have their opportunity to take home some sunflowers.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Now, for anyone who maybe hasn't come down yet to Southport Flower Show, there's still time. Why should they?
They should come down because it's amazing this year for the children. I have my granddaughter here this year and she's just loved all the children's activities and the llamas and alpacas, and there's something for absolutely everybody here this year, and we will definitely be back next year with another interactive display, so keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, there really is something for everybody. Food, did he even mention that? Lovely food and drink as well.
Yeah, unfortunately I don't get time to go out there. But yeah, the food is amazing, absolutely amazing. I've seen it and smelt it.
Great. Nikki, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. As Nikki was saying there, something for everybody here at Southport Flower Show. Eamon, back to you.
Thanks, Steve, and thank you, Nikki. Lovely to see you both up there in the sunflower area. Lovely, lovely, very nice. Just affects your whole mood, doesn't it? Thank you to all my guests for joining us today. We're going to be back at 6 a.m. breakfast special programme tomorrow with Penny Smith. So trip down memory lane with Penny. Penny will be presenting the breakfast show Monday and Tuesday. Up next, Tom Harwood with The Weekend. Tom, what's coming up?
Yes, a very busy programme here today. Breaking news in the last half hour. The Prime Minister will be accompanying a host of European leaders to Washington tomorrow. Yes, Keir Starmer will join the likes of Friedrich Merz from Germany, Alexander Stubb from Finland, and of course, President Volodymyr Zelensky too. How will that meeting at the White House go down? The first time that President Zelensky is going to the White House since that bombastic display that we saw across the Oval Office. Will there be a better training for the Ukrainian president this time round? But also closer to home, a row is brewing. Is Nigel Farage going to war with women? That seems to be the claim from Angela Rayner, but does it stack up? We'll be having that debate over online safety versus online privacy. So much more to come here on The Weekend, but first, let's catch up on the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. A bit more in the way of cloud developing this evening and overnight in the east, but a sunny end to the weekend for the vast majority, and those winds will be easing down across the far southwest of England too. High pressure will dominate through much of the week ahead, but this weather front may just bring a few showers to the very far southwest of England on Monday. But a fine and sunny picture through the rest of Sunday afternoon and evening for the vast majority, but that cloud across the North Sea coastal regions tending to push its way a bit further westwards as we go through the overnight hours, perhaps bringing the odd spot or two of light rain or drizzle in places too. But that cloud keeping temperatures fairly high tonight, so a milder night to come and lows generally of 14 or 15 Celsius in the main towns and cities. As we begin the day on Monday, then a fairly gloomy and grey start for some northern and eastern parts of Scotland. Relatively misty in places perhaps too, but much brighter skies further west. Blue skies and wall-to-wall sunshine for the vast majority of western Scotland. Some sunshine too for northwest England and Northern Ireland. And western parts of Wales and southwest England will also see some sunshine as well. Quite a bit cloudier elsewhere though. That cloud really fairly slow to burn off and break up, I think, as we go through the day on Monday. So a much cloudier day to come compared to on Sunday, particularly across the Midlands and northeastern parts of England, where it may not clear through much of the day, but most places seeing at least some sunshine developing, the best of which probably across western parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. And here we could see highs of 25 or 26 degrees Celsius. Generally a little bit cooler elsewhere compared to of late, and certainly on those North Sea coasts with that breeze coming in, feeling a little bit cooler. A few showers across the southwest of England through the afternoon, the odd thunderstorm drifting northwards towards southwest Wales perhaps in the evening, but generally those fading away as we go into Tuesday, so lots of fine weather through the week ahead. Not as warm as it has been, and there will be some cloud around, but feeling pleasant.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
What does it feel like to be a Great British Giveaway winner?
That's a big surprise.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness.
You've won £54,321.
Please don't joke. This would change my life.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GB News.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it.
Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now.